Welcome to Game 4 post reaction to the game here. Doing this actually the morning after, uh, pretty early here out on the West Coast, but wanted to get something out. What a game last night, especially that because of that reason alone. By far the best finals game out of the four so far. All of them been, they've had their moments here or there, but this one came down to the end. Some clutch plays that we'll talk about, clutch defensive plays, obviously, that we'll talk about here as well. So just kind of wanted to get some thoughts out on the game. Feel free to comment, give me your thoughts on it, Twitter, whatever. Just would love to hear it. It's hard not to start for me with, to start with Middleton and Booker. I know we'll get to the block here in a few minutes, but like I said, Bucks win 109, 103. Just clutch performances from Booker and Middleton. Me and Tyler talked on the last podcast. By the way, he'll be with me on the next one, hopefully. He had to work late last night, so he didn't get a chance to watch the game like he wanted to. So anyways, Middleton, Booker. Tyler brought up how well Middleton played last game. We talked about how much better he could play offensively as well, though. He delivered with 40 points. And then Booker, he delivers with 42, and they were clutch points from both of them. And Booker was fighting foul trouble a little bit, actually a lot. Got bailed out with a no call at the end, which was, with about maybe a little bit with 4 minutes left they got here. That was a horrible call. But it was good to see Booker bounce back. I mean, I feel like he's a superstar, right? We've always said he's a top 20 player probably, and this year, even though he doesn't always show signs of it, but I feel like tonight he definitely showed why, and he can only get better too. So Booker really impressed me. He was on a mission. From the very beginning, I think I took a note down. I was like, he just looks like he's on it tonight. And my first note to the whole entire game was liking Middleton's energy and Booker's energy. So it seemed to play out well throughout the whole game. It's funny how those first quarters start, though. The Suns always seem to get off to a good start. They're up 23-20 again after the first quarter this game as well. Paul, you could just tell something didn't seem right with him today. I thought it carried out for the rest of the game as well. For the Suns to have any chance, they're going to need him to step up and help Booker, though. That's the obvious there. So it's gone from Paul being the MVP for the Suns to now Booker probably being the favorite there. I love how things change after that. The Suns go up 2-0. It's the world's falling down for the Bucks. The series is over, but the reality is these are close teams. I mean, Vegas has them every game at like 3.5 or 4, which means they're pretty even, depending on who's the home team. And the teams are doing what they should do. They're defending home court, and it's no surprise that this series 2-2. I would expect it. Game 5 is going to be that toss-up. But I would expect it to be home series until Game 7, and we'll see what happens there. I kind of wanted to touch, before we get to the Giannis as part of this, I really wanted to touch on Holiday real quick. He's got to give him something more. I feel like this game the Bucks won is a one-off. I feel like the Suns win this one most of the time, and I feel like Holiday's got to give him. He's got to give him a little bit more. I don't know why at the end of the game he was taking. I think it was like, I want to say like, what was it, like 3 minutes left in the game. Holiday's up shooting a shot on a when he's been struggling the whole time. That didn't make any sense to me. So they got to get a little bit more from Holiday as well in this. And that's where the Bucks, for me, it can be frustrating still just watching them. And it surprises me they're able to pull it out, to be honest sometimes. They just, some of the fundamental, like not recognizing certain mismatches earlier in the game, I think really puts them in the hole. And speaking of earlier in the game, they talked about it a little bit on the broadcast, is Giannis coming out so early those first 5 minutes. Am I missing something? That's something he did during the regular season. It's weird. It's not weird and bad. It was necessarily a bad way. It's just it's different. Most players need a little 6-minute run, especially your best players to to get going. But he gets that 3-minute run that comes out. It's very interesting. So couple things from the Suns standpoint that I thought we needed to point out other than Booker was Ayton on Twitter. It's funny listening to some of the comments on him. It's a lot of people either kind of like him, if he's a little, maybe sometimes a little overrated. I thought he was pretty solid again. I mean, he was in the first quarter, he was pretty good again. At moments, I feel like the problem with him is he doesn't have quite the offensive game on the block that you would like, but he's still young. And it seems like they don't take enough advantage of him. The Suns, when I think about it, is pick and roll with him at times. They do a good job with it for the lobs, but I feel like he's good enough for that also for the little elbow jumper. And I know they did that more in the regular season when I saw him play against the Warriors. So, I mean, I think that might be something they could take advantage of a little bit more with him around the perimeter. And he seems very confident in that elbow jumper and then farther out as well. I also feel like from the Suns standpoint, you got to feel good because Paul just played so bad. And the reality is the Suns aren't winning this series anyways unless Paul plays well. So they got to be perfectly fine. Let's see what his stats were actually tonight. They were not good. I know that. Just so I can double check here. Yeah, 10 points, 5 of 13, 7 assists, 4 rebounds, 5 turnovers. Just not a Chris Paul game. Not going to win you a game. The fact that the Suns were maybe even that close, with that being the case, is actually shocking as well. Crowder, I thought maybe he'd have a Crowder game. The best flopper in the world, maybe. I mean, he still gets hit, but me and my wife were laughing at the one where he fell down. It looked like he hit himself in the head when he got fouled there. So I respect Crowder's game, but he definitely. Oh no, that was the one too. He gets touched by Connaughton, and he goes flying across the court. Speaking of Connaughton, he actually had some big shots down the stretch as well. As finally he did something with his life earlier in the game. I was like, take this bum out. He's doing nothing. So let's get to Giannis now. Everybody's calling it the block of all time. I'd still say LeBron's is probably better, unfortunately. Definitely more timely. But Giannis is the recovery, I think, is what makes it special. Backs turn, ball's thrown over his head like a defensive back, able to recover, find it, hit it against the glass. Be a scary football player. Little wide receiver there, goal line fades with Giannis. But what an athletic play. I mean, in a league filled with just athletic freaks of nature, this guy is definitely the freakiest of them all. Like, he is just absolutely insane. Like, he's got go-go gadget arms. He can literally run up and down the court in less than 5 seconds, it feels like. His dribbling is getting better in the open court. He's showing signs of post-game. And now in the finals, you're really just seeing him kind of really starting to will his team to victory at times. I thought, though, in this game in particular, it wasn't obviously his best game. He just didn't seem as engaged. I want to say in the first quarter that I feel like they only got him one look. Yeah, but at the 6-minute mark, that's when he got his first 2 points. He wasn't getting much touches throughout the game. He took a couple of threes early on, which, again, I have no idea what he's doing. But then that third quarter came around, still felt a little, just wasn't getting it. He had 19 points, but he didn't have the impact after it. He didn't feel, not like the last 2 games in particular. And then finally in the fourth quarter, he made a few more big plays. On offensive rebounding, the offensive rebounds really came in handier, and his teammates were looking for him a lot. He's getting a lot of dunks on passes, and then he makes that big block at the end of the game to seal the victory. And Middleton basically brings him home from there. He's been good in the fourth quarter, and he's been better in, it seems like, 4, 5, 6, and 7 when they've had to play those games. So we'll see if that streak continues. So if you're a Bucks fan, you're obviously feeling good. Got 2 wins now. Your series is tied. You know, house money going into Game 5. You got the win streak. Middleton's really locked in right now. You're still thinking maybe you can get more out of Holiday, which at this point I'm starting to question on offense. Loving the defense, I mean, you can see by Paul's stats. So, I mean, you got to take a little bit here and there with that. So we'll see. We'll see what the Bucks have in store. See if they can get a road game. They really haven't been, I feel like, in either of the 2 games. So we'll see what they can do. From the Phoenix standpoint, you got to look at it as Paul's going to play better. He's too good of a player. 2 bad games now. I guess it's usually the theory we have with really good players on one game, like Booker, like, they won't have 2 straight bad games. So we'll see what happens with Paul. We'll see, can he finally bounce back? I feel like he would. As long as Scott Foster's not the ref, I feel like there's a good chance they pull out game 5. And I wanted to say earlier, I want to see if the Suns do win game 5. Does Scotty Foster become the ref for game 6 to force a pivotal game 7 there? So that would be interesting to see as well. What happens with the referee situation. But yeah, Suns, Paul, can play better. Ayton, I feel like, can be a little bit better too. Maybe more so because of his teammates having to play well. And I feel like Bridges can play better. And he's got to be more aggressive. I feel like he's just kind of disappearing at times, which is why Cam Johnson's getting a lot of playing time, because he's just turning out to be aggressive. Man, I remember that when that pick got ripped on. So that Cam Johnson might have shut people up a little bit on that one. So anyways, picks going into the next game. I'm gonna go Suns. I think the Suns. I'm gonna say the line. I think it's at 3.5 right now. I would take the Suns at the 3.5 there, and just expect the Suns to come out. I feel like the calls will be a little bit more in their favor. Their energy will be better, and I just expect Paul to play better. So I'll expect the Suns to win it. A great game 4 overall. One of the best ones of the finals so far. Hopefully Tyler will be back with me on the next recap here. Always more fun doing it with the friends, but we'll see you guys for game 5.